There are moments in life that demand your full attention. This is one of those moments. What you're about to hear is not just information. It's a life-changing revelation that has been designed for you at this exact time. The universe, through divine timing, has orchestrated this message just for you. So stop what you're doing, take a deep breath, and prepare yourself. What comes next has the potential to change everything. This is not just any ordinary message. It's an urgent call to action, a wake-up call that could shift the course of your life. You felt something stirring within you, haven't you? That quiet knowing that there's more to your journey than what meets the eye. The energy you've been carrying isn't yours. It's something that was placed upon you, something toxic. It wasn't your fault, and you didn't ask for it, but someone, or perhaps something, projected it onto you, hoping to use you for their own gain. Your clarity started returning, as if the fog that had enveloped you was finally lifting. The heaviness that had once weighed you down started to dissipate, and you began to realize just how much strength you had within you all along. Now that you've awakened, you're not the only one who can see the truth. The false leader who once held power over you is now facing the repercussions of their actions. As you thrive and move forward, they find themselves watching from the sidelines, unable to maintain control. Their empire, built on manipulation and lies, begins to crumble. The followers they once had are now questioning their motives, seeing the cracks in the facade that once seemed so impenetrable. They begin to see through the mask and realize that their allegiance was built on a lie. As the false leader's grip weakens, they realize that they can no longer rely on you. Your light, your energy, was the force that sustained them. But now that you've broken free, their power begins to wane. The followers who once blindly trusted them are now awakening to the truth and seeing their leader's manipulation for what it was. Your decision to stand in your truth and walk away has shattered the hold they once had over you. The consequences of their actions have come full circle, and they are left to face the reality of what they've done. The listener, you, have proven that your resilience is more powerful than their deceit. You have transformed from a passive participant in their manipulative schemes into an empowered individual who stands strong in your truth. The lies that were once spun around you have unraveled, and in the process, you have reclaimed your energy, your power, and your authenticity. The false leader now watches in silence as you rise, the very thing they feared most. They relied on your energy to fuel their own success. But now that you've severed that connection, they are left to face the consequences of their own actions. What once seemed like a victory for them has turned into their downfall. As you move forward, embracing your truth and your divine purpose, the false leader's manipulation and deceit will no longer have any power over you. You have broken free from their grip, and in doing so, you've shown the world what true strength looks like. Your clarity, authenticity, and resilience are the key to your victory, and they are a testament to your divine nature. The false leader's empire has collapsed, and as it crumbles, you rise, empowered and unshaken, ready to step into the next phase of your journey. Your victory is undeniable, and the universe has already aligned to support you as you continue to live in your truth. The false leader, once a figure of influence and power, skillfully constructed a web of manipulation around the listener. With deliberate intent, they surrounded themselves with loyal followers, people who believed in their vision and message. However, this leader wasn't just guiding, they were controlling. They twisted the truth to serve their own interests, spinning a narrative that painted the listener as a threat, a danger, and a destabilizing force. Their manipulation went beyond simple lies. It was an intricate psychological play, designed to foster distrust and fear. The leader sowed seeds of doubt, casting the listener in a shadowy light, claiming that the listener was not to be trusted, while positioning themselves as the only beacon of truth and guidance. The followers were taught to believe this narrative, and those who questioned the leader's authority were silenced or pushed aside. However, even the most tightly woven web has weaknesses, and the false leader's narrative began to show cracks. The truth about their manipulative tactics started to leak through, but at first, only the most perceptive followers noticed. The tension between what they were being told and what they were beginning to feel created an emotional dissonance in the group. This division, though subtle at first, marked the beginning of the unraveling of the false leader's carefully constructed empire. The speaker explains that many of the followers were unknowingly caught in this web of deception, their minds and hearts manipulated by a figure they trusted, all while being used as pawns in a broader spiritual war against the listener. The false leader's actions were not just personal betrayals, they were part of a much larger cosmic struggle. The manipulation wasn't only physical or emotional, it was spiritual, aimed at keeping the listener from fulfilling their purpose and silencing their divine truth. As the cracks in the leader's narrative grew wider, some followers began to question the story they had been fed. For the first time, they started to notice inconsistencies between the leader's words and their actions. They felt the dissonance between the image the leader had crafted and the true nature of the listener, who was not a danger, but a force for good. This realization didn't come all at once. It was a slow, subtle process. Doubts began to creep in as they reflected on their own experiences with the listener and compared them with what the leader had told them. They began to notice the positive impact the listener had on their lives, the strength and authenticity that they brought to their interactions, and the deep integrity they exuded. These followers started to question the narrative they had been told. And the more they questioned, the more the foundation of the false leader's power began to crack. It wasn't long before whispers of dissent began to spread among the group. Those who had once been devout followers of the false leader began to openly express their doubts, quietly sharing their newfound realizations with one another. The cracks in the leader's influence had widened, and the once solidified group began to fragment. This shift in perspective was monumental. It marked a turning point, as the power that the false leader had over their followers began to erode. This awakening within the group was not just personal, it was spiritual. The followers were starting to see the truth, and with this realization came the beginning of their spiritual awakening. As the followers began to turn against the false leader, the empire they had built started to collapse. The leader's once strong grip on power began to slip, as their followers, now questioning their authority, started to speak out. The leader, who had once used their charm and manipulation to control, found themselves scrambling to regain the control they had lost. But it was too late. The truth about their lies, their deception, and their manipulation spread quickly. The cracks in their facade were now gaping holes, and no amount of coercion or manipulation could repair them. The leader's grip on their followers weakened further, as more and more people saw through the carefully constructed illusions they had once believed in. The false leader was no longer seen as a divine figure of authority, but as someone who had preyed upon their followers for personal gain. The collapse of this false empire was not just a personal loss for the leader, it was a spiritual reckoning. The false leader's role in the spiritual war against the listener was now clear. They had tried to suppress the listener's divine purpose, tried to silence the truth, and in doing so, they had aligned themselves with dark forces. The universe had allowed this battle to play out, knowing that through the listener's resilience, the truth would eventually come to light. This was divine justice in action. The speaker frames the collapse of the false leader as a lesson in resilience. Every attack, every lie, and every act of manipulation against the listener was part of their training, strengthening them for the role they were destined to play. The listener, by standing firm in their truth, became the embodiment of divine strength. Their unwavering commitment to their purpose, despite the spiritual warfare waged against them, served as a beacon of hope and a powerful reminder that the truth always prevails. In the end, the false leader's empire crumbles because it was built on lies and deception. The followers, once blinded by manipulation, awaken to the truth and begin to seek the light that the listener has been offering all along. The speaker encourages the listener to recognize that they have been victorious, not because of their struggle, but because they remained true to their divine purpose. The false leader's collapse symbolizes the triumph of truth, integrity, and divine justice. As the listener continues on their journey, the speaker urges them to remember the lessons learned through this battle. Their victory is not just personal. It is a spiritual triumph that ripples out into the world. The listener has become a living testament to the power of truth and the strength that comes from standing firm in one's purpose. The false leader may have fallen, but the listener's rise is just beginning. The world is now witnessing their transformation, and as they move forward, they will continue to inspire others to do the same. This energy was never meant to be yours, and yet you've carried it as though it belonged to you. For far too long, you've been walking around with this invisible weight. You felt exhausted, drained, and perhaps even confused at times, wondering why your path felt so heavy despite your best efforts. This isn't a coincidence. The energy you've been carrying was deliberately placed there, not by the universe, but by someone who disguised themselves as a guide, a teacher, or a leader. Someone you trusted, someone who manipulated your emotions and your will. Take a moment to process that truth. The energy you've been feeling was not yours to carry, and the impact it's had on you was intentional. It wasn't just a random misfortune, it was a targeted attack on your spirit. This is a moment of deep clarity. What you've been feeling, the confusion, the fatigue, the emotional roller coaster, it wasn't all yours. The listener's light is a radiant force, symbolizing not just their authenticity, but their resilience and divine protection. This light, often a beacon of hope, truth, and unwavering strength, has not only empowered the listener, but also acted as a magnet for spiritual attacks. Those who are threatened by such purity and strength are often the ones who will attempt to dim it. For the false leader, the listener's light became something unbearable, something they could not control or suppress. They saw the listener's rising energy as a threat to their own power, and so they targeted it. The jealousy they felt was not born from a place of righteousness or justice, but from insecurity and fear of exposure. The listener's authenticity exposed their lies, their manipulation, and the darkness they harbored. The more the listener's light shined, the more the false leader could not tolerate it, and the deeper the spiritual attacks became. This is where the spiritual war between light and darkness takes shape. The more the chosen one remained authentic and unwavering in their purpose, the more the enemy sought to tear them down. The light was too bright for the false leader, who, unwilling to accept their own weaknesses, instead chose to attack. What the false leader failed to recognize is that no matter how much they tried to dim the light, it would only grow stronger, brighter, and more powerful as they continued to fight against it. Divine justice, as the speaker emphasizes, is both inevitable and absolute. The laws of the universe are designed to ensure that balance is restored, and when someone manipulates, betrays, and harms another, they will eventually face the consequences of their actions. For the false leader, their manipulation of the listener and their attempts to undermine the listener's divine purpose have set in motion the cosmic consequences of their betrayal. The universe, always keeping track of the energetic transactions between souls, has now seen the negative energy the false leader has directed toward the listener, and it is returning to them. The speaker explains that every action, every intention, and every deceit has a corresponding result, and the false leader is now experiencing the unraveling of the illusion they created. The darkness they attempted to project onto the listener is now being reflected back upon them. This concept of cosmic receipts suggests that nothing goes unnoticed. Every spiritual wound inflicted, every lie, and every act of betrayal has been recorded in the divine ledger, and the time has come for the false leader to face the truth of their actions. The universe has its ways of ensuring justice, and now the false leader's world is collapsing. Their manipulations have triggered a spiritual reckoning, and they must now confront the damage they caused. While the false leader faces their downfall, the listener's journey has been one of incredible transformation. The speaker emphasizes that the listener has not only survived the attacks they endured, but has actually transformed through them. These trials, as painful and challenging as they were not simply tests of endurance. They were necessary stepping stones for the listener's spiritual growth. Each challenge they faced has sharpened their discernment, deepened their faith, and strengthened their resolve. The adversities were not meant to break them, but rather to mold them into the person they are meant to become. Someone stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their divine purpose. The trials that once seemed like obstacles now appear as opportunities for growth, as they have contributed to the listener's evolution. What seemed like an attack on their identity became an invitation to step into their higher self, to embrace their power, and to trust that their divine path was unfolding as it should. Each struggle was an essential part of the process, teaching the listener to rely on their inner strength and spiritual connection to navigate through difficult times. The speaker urges the listener to fully embrace the transformation that has taken place. The tests they have faced are not just a series of unfortunate events. They are part of the divine process that has been guiding them toward their purpose. The listener has emerged from this period not broken, but stronger, more confident, and more connected to their true calling. The listener is encouraged to honor their transformation, to see the value in the lessons learned from adversity, and to appreciate how far they have come. The speaker affirms that, as difficult as it may have been, the listener's path has been divinely orchestrated to bring them to this moment. Now, with the false leader's manipulation crumbling, the listener is poised to step into a new chapter of their life, one that is filled with blessings, opportunities, and alignment with their divine purpose. The spiritual battles fought have now prepared them to receive all the rewards that are waiting for them. With the cosmic justice unfolding and the false leader's empire crumbling, the listener is now in alignment to receive the divine blessings that have been promised to them. The speaker emphasizes that these blessings are not just material, but are deeply spiritual in nature. The transformation that the listener has undergone has cleared the path for them to receive new opportunities, relationships, and advancements that align with their true self. The speaker reassures the listener that their time has come to shine. All of the struggles they have endured have prepared them for this moment. And now, they are ready to move forward in full alignment with their divine mission. The listener has been chosen for a higher purpose, and the universe is now aligning everything to bring them into their rightful place. The speaker leaves the listener with a powerful affirmation that they are the living embodiment of resilience, truth, and divine justice. The false leader's attempts to break them have only strengthened them, and now they stand in their power, ready to receive everything that is meant for them. The message is clear. Trust in the process, embrace the transformation, and walk forward with full confidence, knowing that divine justice has been served. The listener is not just surviving, they are thriving, and their journey is a testament to the power of truth, integrity, and unwavering faith. As the listener continues their path, they are reminded that the universe is supporting them, guiding them, and bringing them closer to their divine purpose. With every step, they are walking into a future that is brighter, more aligned, and full of blessings. And they are ready to claim their place in the world. As the journey of healing unfolds, the listener is invited to reflect on how far they've come. The speaker emphasizes that healing, particularly the deep work done to confront past wounds, is not just about overcoming hardships, but about rediscovering and reclaiming their true power. Through this healing journey, especially the reconciliation with their inner child, the listener has regained a profound sense of personal strength and clarity, which is now radiating outward in the form of a higher vibrational frequency. This growth has not been easy. It has been a process filled with self-exploration, confronting uncomfortable truths, and letting go of outdated beliefs. However, as the listener works through these layers, they find themselves becoming more aligned with their true, authentic self. The inner child, once hurt and hidden, has now emerged into the light, guiding the listener with a newfound sense of trust, joy, and innocence. The listener is no longer trapped in the pain of their past, but is instead stepping into a bright future filled with possibility and hope. The listener's healing journey has given them the tools and insights they need to thrive in the world. They now understand the value of nurturing their emotional well-being, of listening to their inner voice, and of allowing themselves to be guided by the wisdom that comes from within. The past wounds that once weighed heavily on them are no longer chains, but rather sources of power, offering lessons that have shaped them into the person they are today. As the healing process deepens, the inner child that once suffered has now become a vibrant force of guidance and strength. This child within, no longer repressed or ignored, is alive with potential. Their desires, dreams, and untainted view of the world are now able to guide the listener toward the life they were meant to lead. The speaker encourages the listener to stay in connection with this part of themselves, to continue nurturing their inner child, and to allow it to lead them with its pure and boundless energy. The listener has learned to listen to the voice of their inner child, trusting its wisdom and emotional guidance. This connection is not just a healing process, it's a relationship, a bond that reaffirms their worth and potential. The listener is encouraged to stay grounded in this newfound wholeness, as it is this inner strength that will continue to propel them forward. With the listener now aligned with their true self, the universe begins to respond. The divine protection that has always been present in their life is now more tangible than ever. It was a program of manipulation, meant to distract and misdirect you from your true path, your true purpose. Someone used their position, their influence, or their proximity to plant seeds of doubt and toxic energy in your life. But now, the shift is happening. The energy that once held you captive is being lifted. The spiritual weight that was placed upon your shoulders is beginning to dissolve. What once felt like a constant battle, fighting against forces you couldn't see, is now coming to an end. The cosmic forces are aligning to release you from the grip of this external influence. You are no longer bound to the toxic energy they imposed upon you. You are free. This is a time of great spiritual awakening for you. The shift is happening, and it is real. You may already be feeling it in subtle ways: the lifting of heaviness, the clearing of your mind, a new sense of clarity about your purpose and your path. The act of severing ties with toxic energy and releasing the weight of past burdens has cleared the path for the blessings that are ready to flow into their life. The universe, seeing the listener's commitment to their growth, responds with a torrent of opportunities, blessings, and connections that align with their new frequency. These opportunities are not just random, They are divinely orchestrated to match the listener's evolution. Whether in their personal life, relationships, career, or spiritual journey, everything will begin to fall into place as the universe moves in tandem with their newfound purpose. The listener's victory is not just a personal triumph, but a reflection of the larger cosmic shift that is occurring. This is the culmination of everything they've endured, all the lessons they've learned, and the strength they've gained. The universe has always been on the side of the chosen one, and now, as they stand firm in their truth, that support is being magnified. As the speaker reiterates, the listener's victory is inevitable. They have moved through the darkness, healed from past wounds, and now stand in the light of their true divine power. There is no turning back. The person they are becoming is ready to step into their full potential, equipped with all the wisdom, strength, and clarity necessary for their journey. The victory is not just about the external successes that will follow, but also the internal peace and fulfillment the listener will experience. This peace comes from knowing they are living in alignment with their highest purpose, fully aware of their divine mission. The challenges of the past were not setbacks. They were the stepping stones that paved the way for the listener's triumph. Now, as they step forward into their new chapter, they are fully equipped to face whatever comes their way with confidence and grace. While the journey has brought the listener to this moment, the speaker reminds them that it is not the end. It's just the beginning. The listener is encouraged to keep walking in their truth, to continue to embrace their inner power, and to trust in the divine timing that has brought them to this point. They are reminded that their light is needed in this world, and they are called to continue shining brightly, no matter the circumstances. The listener is invited to subscribe and stay connected, as their divine transformation is ongoing. The speaker affirms that the listener is now poised to receive the full manifestation of their purpose. Each step taken from this point forward is a step closer to their destiny, and the universe will continue to support them as they walk the path of divine alignment. The journey may be long, but the listener is not alone. They are part of a larger cosmic plan, and with each breath, they are closer to the fulfillment of their divine mission. The message is clear. The listener's victory is assured, and the time to embrace their true power has arrived. Trust in what you're feeling, because it is the beginning of something profound. You are shedding the old layers, the old beliefs, and the old attachments that have kept you stuck in a false narrative. This is your spiritual rebirth. Now, here is the most important part. The very people who tried to keep you in this toxic cycle are facing the consequences of their actions. The manipulation, the falsehoods, the lies they planted in your life. Everything is unraveling. The energetic hold they once had on you is dissolving. And just as they have used your energy for their benefit, the universe is realigning things, bringing them face to face with their own karma. As you stand in your truth, embracing the freedom that has been granted to you, your enemies will have to face the spiritual repercussions of their actions. Those who tried to take advantage of your trust, your kindness, and your energy will now have to reckon with their deceit. Their actions, now exposed, will have no place in your new reality. They can no longer manipulate or control your energy because you have reclaimed your own power. In this moment of clarity, the weight of their deceit falls upon them. The truth always has a way of finding its way to the surface, and just like you have been awakened to the truth of their influence, so too will they be made aware of the consequences of their actions. This moment is not just about your release from their grip, but also about the unfolding of divine justice. Their manipulation and control have been exposed, and they will have no place in the reality you are stepping into. This is not a time for vengeance. This is a time of liberation. The cosmic forces are working in your favor, lifting you out of the manipulation and enabling you to reclaim your own energy. As they face the results of their actions, you can stand tall, knowing that your truth has prevailed. You've been set free, and now you can begin to walk a new path. One where you are in full alignment with your purpose, free from the toxicity that once held you back. As you embrace this new chapter, remember, the shift has already begun. You are walking into your power, and nothing can stop the truth from unfolding. You are no longer bound by the lies of the past, and you are ready to embrace the fullness of your potential. This is your time. So, stay grounded, trust in the process, and know that the best is yet to come. The universe has big plans for you, and you are now ready to receive them with open arms. There are times when we encounter individuals who present themselves as guides, mentors, or spiritual authorities, only to later reveal their true intentions, to control, manipulate, and ultimately drain us. This is a harsh reality that many face, but it is important to understand that the manipulation you've experienced was not a reflection of your own weaknesses, but rather a calculated effort by someone who misused their influence. The speaker explains how this particular individual, who once posed as a spiritual guide, strategically placed burdens upon you, masked by their facade of wisdom and guidance. Under the guise of helping you grow, this person manipulated you into believing that their intentions were for your highest good. They seemed kind, welcoming, and even spiritual. But behind that facade, their true intentions were to manipulate and control. This false leader became an energy vampire, quietly siphoning off your power, draining your spirit while pretending to be a beacon of support. They used their position to make you feel obligated, guilt-ridden, and small, sowing doubt and confusion in your mind. This deception was not a one-time occurrence. It was a systematic attempt to destabilize you. The leader's tactics were subtle, but insidious. They would smile in your face, speak words of encouragement, yet behind your back they plotted, ensuring that your growth remained stunted while theirs flourished at your expense. They profited from your energy, your ideas, and your light. This hypocrisy, the pretentious facade of caring while secretly plotting against you, created an emotional barrier, clouding your judgment and masking the truth of their intentions. The impact of such manipulation is often not immediate, but it is deep and lasting. The emotional toll it took on you became palpable. Over time, you began to feel exhausted, not just physically, but spiritually drained. This toxic energy settled into your being like quicksand, gradually pulling you under. You felt weighed down by a sense of confusion and fog, constantly questioning your worth, second-guessing your decisions, and even doubting your own intuition. The manipulation made you feel like you were walking through life in a haze. Nothing seemed clear, and every step you took felt heavy. The spiritual clarity you once had was clouded, and the path ahead seemed like a foggy abyss. You began to wonder if you were the problem, but deep down, you knew something wasn't right. You felt the pressure mounting, but you couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. Until now. The shift began when you finally saw the truth for what it was. Slowly but surely, your spiritual aura started to break free from the influence of this toxic leader. The power you had once freely given away was now returning to you. This wasn't just a mental or emotional shift. It was a spiritual awakening. You began to remember who you truly were, reclaiming your energy and your truth.